Okay, guys, here we go. We're gonna do some make it. I'm not actually gonna make it, but I am gonna show you how to make it. And I've got a couple of things started here. I left in the create that we had before, and I just made it smaller. And then I went and got Carl and brought him in here. And then I typed in some text, and I wanted to make sure that I had showed you everything, and there was a couple of things that I may have forgotten. Um, if you're on this and you want to change this font, you have to come into edit once you've typed it in. Okay, you've already typed it in, but you want to change it to draw instead of cut, because right now, if you look in the layers panel, it is set to cut. But I want that to write, and I want a font with a writing style. So I changed my mind. I want to come in and go to the edit panel, because now I'm going to edit it. It's not what I want. And I'm going to select my font, and I want to use my filter, and I'm going to scroll down, and let's see. I want something that has a writing style. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to go back, and then I'm going to go in here and start looking for fonts with the writing style, and I like that one, so I'm just going to pick that. Not real happy with it, so I'm going to go back. Let's just try this one. I like that. That's pretty good. I like that. Okay, and that's fine. And I don't really like the space between the lines. So remember, we had letter space to bring them closer together. You also have your line space so that you can decrease the amount of the line. You can see that it's pulling that in tighter. And you can do that without having to ungroup it and then move all those letters individually and worry about them getting out of line and things like that. So just wanted to make sure that you knew about that. Also, I wanted to go to the home and show you if you need to delete a file, 3 dots, edit or delete, and you can delete. And that will remove a project. So just wanted to be sure that you knew about those little tidbits there. I don't think I left anything else out on those screens. If I did, I'm sorry. Like I said, I don't use this all the time. So now I have something that I could cut from vinyl or iron on here. I've got a print and cut here, and I've got a draw here. And a cut image is good, whether it's a shape or whatever, is just a cut image. Whether it's got many layers or one, it's just going to sort it out on mats. So I'm just going to leave it like it is. And then we're going to come over to make it. And notice I don't have my writing attached to anything. Okay? It's not attached to anything. It's set to draw right straight on the mat. And that's what I wanted. Here's your print and cut. If you have print and cut capabilities, again, Android does not, you are going to look right here. It's going to be 8.5 by 11 letter. That's your material size. You want to leave the bleed on. Unless you're printing on clear material, leave your bleed on. That way when it cuts, it's going to cut around all of these outer edges. And that bleed is going to make it look fuzzy when it prints. And that's okay. That's what it's supposed to do. So that when it gets in these areas and gets tight, it's not going to have a white edge. It's going to give you edge to edge color. If you want a white edge, you need something with the shadow layer that you can flatten it to that layer like we did earlier, but it has a little bit more of an edge to it so that it has a white edge all the way around it. If you turn that bleed off and you cut it on white material, you chance that maybe it has a white edge right here. I'm using my other mouse on purpose. Right here along this sleeve, but everything else has edge to edge color. Then you've got this big white blob over here, and it doesn't look good. So you want to leave that bleed on, and that's what it is for. Next, you'll hit your letter size, everything, and then down here at the bottom, you're going to hit print. Well, I say I am. There we go. And then it's going to open up your printer dialog box. You're going to look for your printer. And I've got one copy. I've never have been able to get copy to work, but maybe that's my printer and the way it's set up. And then you want to check your options. I don't need double-sided, so I'm going to turn that off. And then black and white, I don't want it to print in black and white, so I'm going to make sure that's off. And everything. Now, when you're printing from a computer, your options show up and you can do everything. You don't have, I don't anyway, have access to all of my options on my Epson, like telling it to print from the rear tray instead of the main tray. The media handling, all that is not there. So in order for me to use my iPad and have those options, I need to go in and set up a profile for that and set my printer to print that way so that when I come in here, I can go in there and set up and go with that option. Okay, this one is single-sided color. That's my option there. That's the only option I have set up for my iPad. So I've got to go and feed my cardstock into the tray that goes around rollers rather than the rear tray where it doesn't, and chance bending my cardstock. So make sure that you are setting up your printer with correct print options, and you do not want your fit to page on. You want to make sure that that is off. And set up your printer, and then you're set to print and cut. You're going to print it. It's going to print out just like you see here with this black box around it. That is your registration mark, and your Cricut's going to read that up here in this area. Then it's going to read it here. It's going to read it here. It's going to read it here. It's going to read here, 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 and here. And again, I mentioned earlier, if you're printing on a shiny material, you may need to put a piece of Scotch tape and matte over that black box there so that it doesn't interfere with its reading. On the Maker, you can print on color paper. On the Explorers, you have to print on white, they say. My Air does cut on color paper and transparency. It's going to depend on the eye on your machine, the light in the room, things like that. So that is how you do print and cut. So you're going to continue it. You're going to print it. After it prints, you're going to put that on your mat in the upper corner just like it is. If you flip this around and put this to the bottom, it is not going to cut properly. Okay? So make sure that you're doing that. And I'm just going to cancel out of this because I'm not actually going to print it. I just wanted to go over the print and cut with you guys. So, got all that, got that. Next, we're going to go, I'm going to skip and go down here to my cut. Now, the mat is black, but I chose black material on there. Right here, I can choose my material size. Whatever, if I've got 8.5 by 11 or a 9 by 12, 11 by 11, whatever size my material is. Not your mat, but your material. That's what you're going to pick here. And once you've selected, I've got a 12 by 12 mat, so I'm just going to say that. And my materials covers the whole mat. If I had a 5 by 7 piece, then I would go in there and pick what's closest to that. Then if it's for iron-on, you're going to mirror it. Unless you're cutting it out of a pattern iron-on that does not require mirror. Some does, some don't. So it's going to depend. Read your instructions. And you can see that it flipped it around backwards. Remember I said in the canvas that you could use your flip for mirror. If you flip it in the canvas, do not flip it here, because then it will cut improperly. With iron-on, the shiny side goes to the mat, and then you cut it because the adhesive side is up. It's not really sticky, but it is when it gets hot. So you're cutting with your pretty side to the mat and the adhesive side up backwards, so that when you flip it over and put it on the shirt, it reads correctly. Okay? So make sure that you're doing that. Your carrier always goes to the mat. It doesn't matter if it's paper, vinyl, whatever. Your carrier sheet goes to the mat. Okay? And then you're going to cut it. If you're doing adhesive vinyl, you don't want to mirror it. You want to leave it just like it is. Okay? Super easy, super simple. Then you're just going to come down here after you set it up, and you're going to hit continue. But what if you want to cut several? Right here, your project copies. Instead of doing 10 of them or say 4 of them over in the canvas and bogging down your design space, you can change that number right here. Oops, I don't want 14 to 4. Okay, and I'm just going to say done. Change your project copies. Yes, I want to change the project copies. So now I have 4 of them, but it changed all of them. Everything that I'm doing here, it changed it all. I have to change everything. So let's go back. Let me just go back and cancel that so that we can see without, well, I just scroll down. Let's see. So you can see that I have my creates. I'm going to come down to this mat. You can skip mats this way. So I'm going to come down to this create mat, and I have my icon in the way. I apologize. So right here, and I've got a 12 by 12 piece of material on my mat, but it put one down here. Remember I said it's going to do it space saving? It doesn't know that I can fit that on the other mat because of its orientation. I'm going to click those 3 dots and move the object. And I'm going to move it to this mat. And now you can see that it's right there on top of the other one. So I need to move that in just that one, not both. This is going to be one of those where I have to use my finger to split it. So there, I've got one of them. I've got my copy there. And now I'm going to rotate that. And so I'm just going to rotate it. And it'll fit on that same mat. This is going to help you. You can go in and you can rearrange it. Cricut is only going to put it in there and get you started as to where it can go. And it's going to read the orientation that's on your mat, and it's going to place it on there. It reads that as a horizontal orientation. So you can't, it knows that, oops, it knows that it's not going to fit here without cutting out of the other one. And that's why it put it on another mat. But you know that you can rotate it, and then you can pull it up here into this mat and not have to use another piece of your vinyl. So, good little deal. What if you said, oops, I didn't really want 4, I only wanted 2. I can hide selected and take that off the mat and say, okay, I only need 2 of those. I need 4 of that other one, but I only need 2 of this one. So you can do that. You're just going to have to put in the number of max copies for your others. So if you needed 6 of one, 4 of one, you're going to put your project copies as 6. You're going to go down and you're going to remove 2 of the other copies. That being said, you cannot change these. Print and cut's print and cut. You don't get an option to change or move. Okay? It is what it is, and it's there. It will fit what it can into that print and cut area of 6 point, what was it? It's 7.5 on the computer, 7.8 I think it was, 6.78928. It's going to put it in there where it can fit. If it can fit more than one print and cut object in there, it will. Okay? But these mats cannot be changed. I'm just going to change this back to 1. Actually, I'm just going to go, and I'm going to cancel this and go back to the canvas. I'm just going to go back over here. I'm going to go to the canvas, and I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to delete this. We're going to talk a little bit now about Snap Mat. What is it? Snap Mat, you can see that I've got some writing here. What if I had a card or an envelope that I wanted to address, and I didn't want to make one. I didn't want to cut one. I already have one that's pre-made. I can go in and I can address that by putting my writing here and on my mat. And then I can go over and hit make it. And you see that it's on the mat. That's kind of large. I'm going to go back. Let me go back up here and size this properly. And I'm just going to size it down. And that looks good to me. That will fit. I think that will fit. And just go down just a little bit more there. All right, so now I have that on my mat and I have it ready. Oops. I get that weird thing with my iPad that it does that weird thing to my mat. There we go. So here we are. We have everything set up, and I'm going to hit make it. And now it's on my mat. What does Snap Mat do? Down here in this left corner right here, if you click on that, it's going to bring up your camera. And what you're going to do is place your envelope. I'm just going to turn this around where the orientation is correct. I'm sorry, I don't mean to make anybody dizzy. You can bring this up, and you have to get the whole mat in view. And I'm just going to pause and get this in view because I can't do it while I'm filming. You have to be still and you have to get it in there. But we're going to take a picture of that mat. We got to line everything up and stand way up above it and take that photo. And once you've got that photo, then we'll come back and do the rest of that. So give me just a moment. Okay, guys, so what happens here is you have a little purple dot up here on the top, and then you have one right here on the right. And I find it easier for me if I place my mat on the floor and hold my device up over it. It's just easier for me because you have to get it level. It's like playing a game. You have to get it level, and once you've got everything level, it will snap the photo of your paper or your envelope on the mat. So once you're happy with it, you're just going to either select retake or use. Okay? So once you've done that, you're just going to select, I'm going to use that. And now I can come over here to my mat, and I'm just going to come up here and grab, my mouse is going backwards there. I'm just going to use my finger. So I'm going to grab my writing and I'm going to place it where I want it on that envelope. And then I'm going to hit continue. Down at the bottom, down here, we're going to hit continue. And we're going to load that into our maker. And we're just going to talk a little bit once I get this going. So I'm just going to pick craft cardstock. Doesn't really matter because I'm not cutting anything, and it's telling me to load my tools. Now this will happen with all of your materials. You have your populars, and then you have your favorites. Okay, and you can save 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 of them on your mobile device, and it's 12 on the computer. And then you have your most I guess that's what it is. Maybe it's 12 too. Yeah, it's 12. You can do 12 on the iPad and 12 on the computer. I just have 10 saved. I don't put my favorites in here. Because the populars are over here. So right here, I just do my favorites. You can go and you can search all materials here at the green, all materials. And you can add and favorite them just by clicking and making the star fill. And then hit close. And now you can see I have my cereal box or artboard over here. So it's very easy to add your favorites, and you're just going to go in there. If you don't see your material that you're cutting in one of these, then you're going to go over there and search it out. Then it's going to tell you step 2, what materials to load and what mat. So I'm going to be using, I've already done it, sent it over to my mat. You can see it up there on the photo. And I'm going to insert my pen. Let's see where my pen went. And then I am going to send this over by hitting load. You're just going to hit the load button with your mat in the machine pushed all the way against the rollers. And I do show that in a video in what am I trying to say here? In the computer and laptop series. So if you're not sure about how to load a mat, you can look at that mats and you can figure that out. So I am just putting my mat in up against the rollers, the black rollers, and underneath the mat guides, and I'm hitting the load button. And then we are going to, as it shows here, it's going to tell you the speed is automatically set for this material, and the flashing C, your Cricut logo, you're going to press that. And now it's preparing that mat. And it's going to draw that on the envelope for me where I asked it to draw. And I put my envelope like at the 1-inch mark. And that way I know that I'm getting it in the right place 1 inch over, because we have that 1/4 inch all the way around where it will not write, or well, it won't cut our materials and things like that. So with this set over 1 inch and down 1 inch, then I have a little bit better control about where it writes on my envelope. Or I feel I do. I have tried to do it up in that upper corner, and for some reason it's always off, and I don't know why. So while that writes, can't really go over and do anything else. I'm going to pause, and then we'll be right back. And you can see that as that closes in, it's almost finished writing. It's got a couple more letters to go. And then once it completes, make sure you take your pen out and you cap it, because you don't want your pen to dry out. And you're going to see action complete, and you're just going to say okay, and you're going to hit your unload button on your mat. And I'm just going to use my camera and show you guys here in just a second. So now I'm just going to hit continues. You can unsnap too. Oops. I'm going to cancel that and unsnap it. So now we're back, and I'm just going to hit my canvas. I'm going to come back over, and there is where we were working. And I'm just going to open up my camera, and boom, there it is. You can see that it wrote right there on the envelope for us. How cool is that? Snap Mat is a great feature, guys. Something that you can use for many, many different things on that Snap Mat. I believe that is everything. I'm going to just pop right over here. I'm going to, let me delete this. And just going to put in an image and insert. And let's go over and make it. I want to make sure that we didn't miss anything. That's all the mats. You can scroll through this way. Depends on the orientation. You can see up at the top corner, I wanted to show you that too. Up here in this top corner, it'll tell you how many mats. Right there. Right up above my cursor there. You've got 2 mats in this project. 1, 2. So your orientation will change that. And if you turn it the other way, then you'll get that. So just wanted to make sure that we covered everything for you guys. I hope that you have enjoyed this video series on the mobile. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask in the groups. Leave a comment down below. Come and ask questions. Come to the live videos on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And join us with Design Space. We make projects. We answer questions. Lots of stuff going on. You guys, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Give a thumbs up and a like. We'll see you on the next video.